Okay. So we will basically get requirements in this format. Okay. So they'll share only technical design document and mapping sheet. Okay. So here, like if you open any of the integration design document, so they will mention like what is the source system and what is the target system. Okay. And where you will be writing the code. Okay. So if it is a new requirement, okay, so if it is a new requirement, then uh, yeah, so if it is a new requirement, they'll be mentioning all the details, okay, like how to connect to the source system, what is the mapping sheet, like mapping fields, like NS fields in the sense NetSuite, okay, NetSuite field name, and Celestica, like another end system field name, okay. So all these details they'll give you in one document, okay. With respect to connection parameters that you need to configure, that you need to check with the project team itself, okay. Like you need to ask for the username, password, all the credential details, okay. So if you check here, so all the connection parameters you need to get it from your project team itself, okay. Like what should be the consumer key, secret, and everything, okay. So uh, once you get the connection parameters, you can create a sample project and try out few operations. Like, okay, for example, let's say, as per the requirement documentation, what you need to do, you need to read data from NetSuite, okay, transform it, and then send it to Celestica, okay. Celestica is of type SFTP, okay. So it's of type SFTP connection, okay. So here, uh, so in my POC project, what I'll do, I'll check the SFTP connection first. Okay, so either it is working fine or not. Okay, so I'll check that first. Okay, so I'll create the configuration. Okay, so in the configuration for SFTP, I need to mention host name, port, and username, password. Okay. Sometimes for SFTP, you will have to use a certificate. They will share you a private key certificate, and you can use that as an identity file here. Okay. So you don't have to mention username and password. There are two types of connections that you can do for SFTP: either username password based connection or identity file based connection. Okay. So anything is fine. So generally, username and password is not preferred because password will have a expiry time. Okay, so like every 3 months or every 6 months, password will expire, and you need to change the password and redeploy the application. Okay, that's a unnecessary thing. So you don't have to touch the configuration again and again. So to avoid that, you need to use identity file based authentication. Okay.
Identity file is always a private key or a public certificate?
No, it will be key pair. Okay, so private key in the sense, not private key alone. It will never be a private key alone.
Okay.
Okay, so it will be a key pair
Okay.
that they'll provide. Okay. Okay, so it will basically be a key pair. Okay, so it depends like what type of certificate they share. Like for HTTPS configuration, you can use P12 format or key store, anything. Okay, but for this you need to use a PKI file. Okay, so that will be a different file extension. Okay, so you need to use that file here, identified.
Okay.
So private key basically. Okay. For HTTPS, it will be key store. Like key store in the sense, it can be a public key certificate, or it can be a key pair, or it can be a P12 format certificate, which is only private key. So it can be any type for HTTPS configuration that you use. Okay.
Okay.
But for SFTP, we need a private key PKI file for identify. Okay. So you can configure this way, and if you are not referring from properties, you can check for a connection here itself. Okay, so sometimes what happens is, if you give properties and click on test connection, Studio will not be able to load those properties, and test connection may not be successful. It may give you some finded error. Okay, sometimes it can happen. Okay, or sometimes it will work. So instead of that, like you can hard code all the values for test connection and click on the test connection, and then you can put those in properties file. Okay. So initially, like I'll create all the configurations that I need. Okay, so I created for NetSuite. I created for sorry, I created for SFTP, and for NetSuite, I need these many details. Okay, like a consumer key, consumer secret, token ID, token secret, all these things. Okay, so in NetSuite, there are two types of NetSuite connectors. Okay, one is normal NetSuite connector. Okay, and the other is NetSuite RESTlet. Okay, so that means NetSuite RESTlet in the sense NetSuite end system can expose. Let me show you how NetSuite looks like. Okay, so okay. So in NetSuite, like NetSuite, okay, let me go back. Okay, see, NetSuite is type of Salesforce system. Okay, like you can manage e-commerce or CRM. So all these things can be managed in NetSuite as well. Okay, so like it is one of the alternative for Salesforce. Okay, so as a platform, NetSuite exposes web services as well as it can be connected directly. Okay, so this connector will have operations that are directly linked to NetSuite. Okay, like if you want to change email or change password for a NetSuite account that you're using, you can do it directly. Okay, so using the connector operation. Okay, if you want to search anything or update anything, you can do it directly. Okay, whereas NetSuite RESTlet, for this platform, whatever the web services it has exposed, okay, so those things you can get it here. Okay, so you can get it done via REST APIs or SOAP APIs that are exposed by NetSuite platform. Okay, so as a platform, this itself exposes web services. Okay, it can be, it will have both SOAP web service as well as REST service. Okay, so in that, for REST service, they have created a connector called NetSuite RESTlet. Okay, in that you can execute these many operations like get, post, put, and delete. Okay, so here the requirement is let me open. Okay, so here whenever I get records, okay, when I need to hit this search. Okay, so this search is created in NetSuite. Okay, whenever there is records populated for this search, so I need to transform that records into CSV format and write that CSV format into a SFTP location. Okay, it is still loading. Okay, so this will take some time to load. Okay, so whenever there are records for this search, here, okay, in NetSuite. So this is a NetSuite web service, okay. So if you check, it is a REST web service, okay. For this REST web service, if there is a search, like a search records returned, I need to transform that and write a CSV file onto this SFTP location, okay. So and then I should update NetSuite back, okay. So let me show where to update. For whatever items I read here, whatever order line items I read here, for those items, I need to update here, okay, in this section. Yeah, see here, I need to update this as rated. Then there are few fields that I need to update, okay, apart from that field, okay. So all these updates I have to make it in NetSuite, okay. So requirement is search in NetSuite. If records are found, then transform it into CSV format and write it onto this location, okay. And for each record, you need to update back in NetSuite saying it is processed, okay. So that is the requirement. So here in this flow, when I come to this flow, so I need to search every now and then, okay. So automatically I need to search. So that means I cannot use a HTTP listener, because every time I hit the URL, if the search records returned, it will write, else it will not write, okay. So I don't want to do that, okay. So to avoid that, what I need to do, I need to use scheduler, okay. So scheduler, I have written a separate flow to get the saved search results, okay. So I'm calling the NetSuite RESTlet, okay. Just a second. Yeah, NetSuite RESTlet, okay. So here I'm doing the transformation, okay, based on the mapping sheet that they provided here, okay. So I'm doing the mapping here, okay. So once I prepare this, like I'm checking, because see, if you look at this response, I have total records, total retrieved, and total pages, and next page, okay. So if I have more than 3000 or 4000 records, I might get in 2 pages format, like paginated response, okay. Per page, it can only fit around 1000 records. Let's say it can only fit around 1000 records, and the total number of records this search result is returning is around 3000 records, okay. So what it will do, it will return total number of pages as 3, and next page index as 2 or 3, like that, okay. So to handle that, here I'm checking, okay, like if total number of pages is greater than 0, then I'm creating a empty page array, okay. So let me show you what it will this return. Because how many ever number of pages are there, those many number I need to do, right. Just a second. Okay, so if total number of pages is 3, it will create an array like this, okay. Reason is, if I have 3 pages, I need to call this web service 3 times, okay. If I have 2 pages, I need to call this web service 2 times. So I can read this total pages count, and I can create a empty, like a normal, like number array like this, and I'm iterating over that number array, okay. See here, I'm iterating over that number array. So first time, the page number, next page number will be current page number plus 1, okay. So like that. So then again I'm calling the same flow here, okay, same flow again and again here, okay. So here, while I'm calling, I'm checking, like I need to pass next page number or not, okay. So if I'm setting this variable here, since the value is not 0 or null, so it will send this parameter, okay. So and it will give me that particular page results, okay. For each page, I am like appending this transformed payload to this variable, okay, report response variable. So finally here I'm gathering whatever is part of report response variable, and then I'm generating a CSV, okay. So if the payload size is greater than 0, then I'm writing it onto a SFTP location. Okay, so which is this location here. Okay, so after that, like for each line item, I'm updating back in NetSuite, saying it is processed. Okay, so I'm updating back to NetSuite, saying it as a processed. Okay, so this is how the flow was written. Okay, so initially you need to understand the requirements. Okay, so they will only share few details in document. Okay, so they just shared mapping, they just shared like this few points. Okay, they did not they will not guide you like how to write code. That is your job. Okay, so after reading the technical spec documents, you need to come up with questions. Okay, like what are the connector parameters, how do you want to read data from source, like you want it real time, or you want it scheduled, or you want it batch. So you need to understand those requirements. Okay, based on that you need to write your flow. Okay, so each and every requirement will be in the same way itself. Okay, so if I deploy the application now, since I have a scheduler, I don't have to trigger it from outside. It will automatically trigger, do the search. If data is there, then it will transform it to CSV and generate the file. Okay, so that is how it works. Okay, so this is one of the requirement. The second requirement is, after I write the file, someone will read it from here, right? And that someone is nothing but Mercury Gate or Celestica. Okay, so this end system. Okay, so what these people will do after they process this CSV file that I have written here, they will give me one more file. Okay, in outbound, they'll give me one more file in outbound. Okay, okay, so they have deleted. That's fine. Okay. They'll give me one more file in outbound. Okay, so in that outbound file, what I need to do, I need to read the file. Okay, once I read the file, I need to for each record, I need to prepare a NetSuite request like this. Okay, I need to prepare a NetSuite format request like this. Okay, so if you ask for a sample request, they will give you. Okay, or if you use a SOAP web service, you can get that for yourself. Okay, so based on that, you can write the transformation. Okay, so I need to create a request like this and then update it in NetSuite. Okay, for error handling, so what I need to do, I need to sometimes I might get connectivity error or timeout issues. Okay, so I should not leave that message as is with timeout. Okay, because it's an unnecessary failure for me. So what I did, I used try catch block. In try catch block, for connectivity related errors like connectivity, session timeout, or maximum size exceeded related type of errors, I use on error propagate. Okay, for all other errors, I use on error continue. Okay, reason is until successful scope will retry only in case of error. Okay, for bad request, no matter how many times I retry, it will still be a bad request. It can never be successful. Okay, at least for connectivity, if I try it for 2 more times, I might have a chance. Okay, so for that reason, like I cannot like I'll have to use honor propagate for connectivity related errors. Okay, so if anyone asks like how you implement until successful scope in your projects, you need to explain the same thing. Okay, like inside until successful scope, you will have try catch block, and inside try block, you will write the connector that you need, that you want to connect to, and in the catch block, you'll write two honor like two error handlers, like one is honor propagate and on error continue. So you need to propagate error only for the retriable type of errors, which is connectivity, timeout, this type of errors. Okay, so you write on error propagate for only those type of errors. Okay, and for all other errors, you write on error continue. Okay, so that even if there is an error, it should not retry related to bad request or anything. And because no matter how many times you retry, it will still fail. Okay, so that way I'm updating the content in NetSuite. Okay, so this is a simple flow. Okay, so uh, this is how this flow is written. The second part of the integration, like where I pick the write back file, transform each record into NetSuite format, and update it in NetSuite. That's it. Okay, so this is one integration that I had worked. Okay, so in real time, I get this type of design documents. In these design documents, if I have any doubts, I need to check with them. Okay, and then I need to write the code only after that. Okay, so every time I make some changes, I test it, make sure nothing is breaking, and then I move to environments. So as of now, in this current company, so we deploy manually. So that means like we right click, we go to any point platform and deploy to Cloud Hub. So that is how we are deploying right now. Okay, so we don't have any CI/CD setup here. So we will have CI/CD setup using Azure DevOps. So once that is live, I will show you that also. Okay, so you understood this requirement, right? Like how we get the requirement, like how we had written the code, like what was the thought process behind that. So these details you understood, right? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So coming back to data view. Okay. So let me. Yeah. So, so these things are important, okay, in data view. Okay, so this cookbook related details like how you can concatenate values, how you can like iterate, how you can write lambda functions. All these things are important. Okay, so these exercises are enough. Okay, so concatenation, there are two types of concatenation. Okay, one is using a plain concatenation like hi, then plus plus, and then hello. Okay, so you can concatenate like this using plus plus. Okay, or you can define an array hi, then hello, and then you can use join by. Okay, if you give any delimiter in join by, using that itself it will add, like if I add one more string, each between each string it will add this delimiter. Okay, so there are different ways of concatenating. Okay, so one is using join by function and the other is using plus plus. Okay, so plus plus works only on strings. Okay, so even if you write using numbers, it will generate a string, concatenated string. Okay, it will not add. Okay, so if you use plus, it will add. Okay, if you use plus, it will add. Okay, if you use plus plus, it will concatenate. Okay, so coming back to redaction. Okay. Okay. So reduction in the sense, how can you remove elements in an object or array? Okay. So I have name. Okay. Then so I have these details in my payload. Okay. I want to remove city. Okay. So if I want to remove city, so I can remove using a key. Okay. So if I want to remove multiple, okay. So what I need to do, I need to scope this expression and then remove remaining. Okay, like this I need to do. But I want to do it in single go. Okay, so I need to remove a set of keys at a time. Okay, so if I want to do that, then expression will be like payload minus inside array. I need to mention all the key names that I want to remove. Okay, so this time I cannot use minus. I need to use minus minus. Okay, so minus. If you are applying this minus on top of an array or an object, you can remove only one element. Okay, so if you want to remove multiple, you need to use minus minus. Okay, so I can add plus plus. Okay, so but here it should be like you can only add object to an object. Okay, so if you want to concatenate, you need to concatenate an object with an object. That's it. Okay, like this. See, if I use plus plus, so I need to append another object. Apart from that, I cannot append any array or anything. See, I cannot append an array because I'm trying to append object to an array. So that's not possible. Okay. So even if I want to append an array, I need to have a key for this. Okay, like this. Okay, so I need to have a key for this array. Simple array I cannot append. Okay, so this is concatenation. Okay, so all these things will be useful in transformation. Okay, so depending on the use case. So sometimes what happens if I have a sample message, so I don't have to do any type of operations like adding, multiplication, or anything. I don't have to do anything. Okay, so in those type of use cases, I can simply do one-to-one mapping. Okay, like earlier I had shown, right? You can simply define a metadata here, and then you can simply define a metadata here, and then drag and drop. That's it. So those type of simple transformations also you can do, but functions are important to learn because whenever you need it, you can use them. Okay, so for example, let's say if here what I have done, I need to in this okay, so if I want to explain this, I need to explain the scope of for each. So earlier I had explained for each. Do you remember that? Like any few points that I had explained in for each?
Yeah. Explain.
See, for each is basically private, like a private scope. Okay, if you generate any payload in for each, that is not visible outside. Okay, if you want to preserve that payload or if you want to save that payload for each iteration, then what you need to do, you need to create a variable, empty variable. Okay, and you need to append to that empty variable again and again. Okay, because here I am calling this flow from a for each. Okay, from the scope. So here I need to create an empty variable and append to that variable whenever the iteration comes here. Okay. So basically how you can picturize this. So this is for its scope. Okay. So every time I'm getting a city name. Okay. So for first time I get Bangalore. Okay. So let's say I have a variable called city list. Okay. So after for each, if I want to read city list, I cannot read that. Okay. Because under iteration, payload will change for each iteration. Okay. First time it will be Bangalore. Second time it will be Mysore, like that. Okay. So what I do, I am calling this flow again and again. So that means control is coming back here where I set this variable. Okay. So control is coming back here. Okay. So if that is the case, what I can do, I can check where's dot city list initially as empty array. Okay. I'll create this variable, default variable. Okay. So first time I got Bangalore and I have a flow reference. Okay. Which is calling back to that variable. Okay. So here, what I can do before calling back that, so I can reset that city list here. Okay. Here what I'll do, where's dot city list. Okay. Plus payload. That means whatever is the current value for this payload, it will be appended here. So first time Bangalore, second time Mysore, like that. Okay. So after this forest scope, if I print vars.city list, how many ever times for each has executed, and whatever the city names it was appending earlier, those many, all the list of city names will be available here. Okay. The same thing I have done it here. Okay. So I'm appending to this transformation to this variable. Okay. If I have multiple pages, all those records I'm transforming and appending it here. Okay. So understood, right? Like how for scope works.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, we only need to use transform message variable, or we can use set variable to append.
Anything is possible. Like okay. So let me show. Set variable. Okay. So I am initializing this city list. Okay. So for this city list, I am giving empty array.
Okay.
So it is an empty array right now. Okay. Then I have for each. Okay. So in this for each, like I may be iterating through payload or something. Okay. Assume that. Okay. So I am iterating through a array. Okay. So here again, I use set variable. Okay. Because I need to store the current output of the for each scope to this variable, city list variable. Okay.
Oh.
City list. Okay. But city list is of array type, right?
Yeah.
City list is of array type. Okay. So what I can do, vars dot city list plus payload. Okay. So after this, if I use, if I want to set city list as a payload, okay.
Okay.
So I just need to mention city list here.
Yeah.
Okay. So this will have complete list of cities that were there in forest for each iteration. Okay. So you can use transform message, or you can use, if you use transform message, make sure you should change the target type, like output type is variable, and give the variable name.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you use transform message, you should make sure to give the proper output type. Okay. Whereas if you use set variable directly, you don't have to make any changes. So you just need to understand how you are using it. Okay. Problem is, see, in MuleSoft, whenever you develop something, you need to develop under few assumptions. Okay. And then you need to test it for yourself and then make sure it is working. So that is how you need to handle in MuleSoft. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So any doubt?
No change.
Yeah. So tomorrow I'll explain few more use cases. Okay. So there is one use case like generally you might not see that, like see how you need to build REST web services in MuleSoft. Okay. Whenever you get a requirement. Okay. And how it can be useful. So that I can explain tomorrow. Okay. So along with the live example. Okay.
Okay.
So I have it ready right now, but it will take some time to explain. So time is not enough. So tomorrow I'll explain that.
Okay.
Tomorrow same time I'll explain this use case, and then day after tomorrow I'll complete the data view that was left over.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
Please go through this and come up with questions if you have any questions. Okay.
Okay.
Okay.